Mars and Jupiter stud the sky with light. I watch them nightly and try to understand that I am on a planet like they are planets. I think of Mercury, pockmarked by the sun's yellow fever, of that flossy white node in the galactic marrow called Venus, of Saturn with its pussyfoot ice, of Cyclops Jupiter in a pinstripe suit, of Neptune, whose breath is ammonia, and of gangrene Uranus, ghoul of the heavens. The sun never sets on the Mercurian Empire. It only idles on each horizon and lurches back, broiling the same arc across the sky, day in and day out, a target gone berserk in a shooting gallery. On the bright side, Mercury is hotter than a smelt forge in the Kalahari. Fitful lava yoke spews up white geysers, each one brazen, tentative, and self-willed, leaving the mantle a sheet of volcanic hives, as icy hot, some claim, as the dark side's permafrost is molten chill. Every 30 days, the planet turns another cheek to the sun, ornamenting the night with its moon-like phases. Like our own terrestrial desert, the topsoil's gnurly with mosaic grains that roundulate the heat flow, loath to conduct. So the days are warm and the evenings cool, relatively speaking. 940 degrees Fahrenheit in the sun and minus 180 in the shade. Low-keyed and perpetual, taffeta, wimpled like a nun's headcloth, mummy whose black sediment desiccates within, Cleopatra in high August, her flesh curling in a heat mirage light years from Alexandria. Venus quietly mutates in her ivory tower. Temperatures are hot enough to boil lead. Pressures 90 times more unyielding than Earth's, and through layered cloud decks and haze strata seem to breathe like a giant bellows, heaving and sighing every 4 days. The Venerian cocoon is no cheery chrysalis, brewing a damselfly, but a sniffling atmosphere 40 miles thick of sulfuric, hydrochloric, and hydrofluoric acids, where blistering vapors and rosy bile hint at the arson with which the universe began. Wrapped in a blue light shell, Earth croons air and ocean color like the egg of some extinct bird, left to ripen in the solar heat. Blinding white clouds rally and sprawl through the tufted fleece and high patchy swirls that blur the whole planet, rolling beneath them like a code. But here and there, through the hazy cloud gaps, the oceans and continents blink their pastels, tinging gaily into one another all their hard divides. From afar, no human ken or brow sweat comes to light, only a deluxe planet, bustling behind its frigid black moat. Long ago, Earth bunched its granite to form the continents, ground molar Alps and Himalayas, rammed Africa and Italy into Europe, gnashing its teeth till mountain ranges buckled and churned, and oceans gouged their kelpy graves. Even the solid land ebbs and flows. Oxygen and nitrogen spat by biology, limestone built from tiny sea creatures, floppy fish revising from pond to pond, tree shrews, apes, painted cloud mesas, the red thresher in the cornfield. I have so much invested in your earth, whose dust I was born out of and will bleach into, and yet I'm lame to sing of all the cloud tufts, the rivers and oceans and aprons of land, the volcanic spasms and crimped sierras, the plants and animals, and above all, the motion. While you think one would never cotton to anything, never grow bored, not succumb to habit, but only craze slowly from terminal surprise. A queer lot, aren't we, on this rickety oasis, whirling men on a whirling planet whose organs slosh right along with the seas. 7 billion salt licks of muscle and blood dissolving in one prominence of one sun, as though life were motion unrelieved. Orange ochre tonight, Ice Age Mars gutters like a Turner sun. Brilliant white polar caps wax and wane with the weathery, not the growing seasons. I know the rough bouldery terrain and volcanic sputum by heart. Limonite speckled brown and mustard, on each grain a fleck of iron, its own tiny anchor. The pocketed lava rocks that look like red sponges. In an ice age, its former atmosphere, tucked discreetly under a polar cap, awaits the coming of another spring. Meanwhile, the winds chase like emery boards, carving rocks into free forms and swayed back arches. There was a climate here once, running water and the blossom urge, where sinuous dry riverbeds stand out now like veins on a temple. All those whirlpools and burbling aerosols, little changed since the solar system began. The mind reels to birth so gelatinous a rainbow, suddenly pale salmon, then marbled blue. Even that lightning prickly red hurricane scouring the planet face like a pox tones down to Sierra, then deepens to plum. On Io, each flake falls irregular, uncrystallized, dud snow in a placebo season. Zenith to horizon, they'll see fields of color bloom, and the far cry sun, no larger than a bug lamp, sets quickly. Saturn lumbers off with its Curio cloud bank, sky tethers the icy shoal, paddling round in orbit just out of reach. An elliptical blur creeps into my field of vision, bellowing light as I wind the scope down to such razory focus that Saturn lies stunned in a hall of mirrors, hogtied by the crosshairs. Millions of vest-pocket moons hang together as rings that loop round the planet like a highway skirting the Golden City. They dog the equator, never more than 2 miles thick, a sprawling coral reef of tailless comets. In an aquarium big enough, Saturn would float, lighter than rock or water. Hydrogen-clotted ice, frozen methane and ammonia, all lathered into a gaudy slush. It's green as avocado or unripe pomegranate, lying sideways and askew, like no other planet, with one pole where an equator should be, its gaze tilted sunward, as if on bended knee. So each day lingers on through some 42. The bilious midnight sun must be searing. But Uranus is glacial. Measurements show it minus 300 degrees and even below. Nonetheless, at the pole, all the heat of the sun makes the day like a hornet, while elsewhere it's perfectly icy. Aqua blue colossus lurking in the outback, Neptune wheeled round its solar bevel once every 160-odd years. Aloof, unheard of, and ill-defined, a verdigris stopgap in the cosmic pause, not even guessed at for 2 millennia, then wrenched from Uranus's mathematical rib. Neptune is elusive as a dappled horse in fog. Even stars don't live forever. Old age makes the outer region redden and swell. Like the body, a star grows larger as it runs down. Neptune once flecked a coral sun, yellow now as a scrub diamond, that will puff beet red in 5 billion years and suck the planets back to where they began.